Alright, hey guys, today we're going to be doing a little bit something different for the third episode of, is it third? Yeah, okay, the first one's supposed to come out Sunday. Third episode of Megaman Week. I'm going to be showing you how to make your own custom stickers for Progress PET battleships. Oh goodness, that was not supposed to happen. This is only part one of the how to make your own battleships. Part two will cover more in depth how to actually program the battleships. As you can see here, I have a community project going where we're making a list of all the Progress PET battleships along with their chip code. This chip code tells you what you need to program into the chip itself. If you've seen my other video on how to make your own advanced PET battleships, that will show you pretty much how to program them. It's pretty much the exact same thing, except this uses ones and zeros instead of 1 through 10. So basically, if it said 0, 0, that means you make the first two pins not connected to the rest, and then it say like 0, 0, 1, 1 for chip code. That means these two are connected, and then like, you know, 2 skipped, skip 2, then connect 1, then skip the other one. But again, we're not going to worry about that technical stuff right now. This is just part 1. We'll do part 2 later on down the line. Part 1, we're just going over how to make your own battle chip stickers. The little things you put on the battle chip. Alright, so you don't have to use GIMP. You can use Photoshop. I don't think you should try Microsoft Paint for this. I'm sure it's possible, but I wouldn't suggest it. Alright, so this page is actually, should be a 1-to-1 scale replica of a picture that's, how do you say it? Okay, in a US letter format paper. So, you know, when you're normally printing documents for school and stuff, you're using using letter sized paper if you live in the United States. Other countries may have different paper sizing, so this may not come out perfectly, but pretty much if you print this the way I show you, all your stickers should come out the perfect size. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is the battleships, and those are nice and easy. Alright, so using this template, let's go look up some battleship pictures from Battle Network 5. So let's go to MNBN5 battleship list. Let's go ahead and turn this thing off real quick. And this will give us all the details, all the Japanese names, and all the pictures for the battleships. So what type of battleship do we want to make? I think I'm going to make Super Vulcan, because Super Vulcan's awesome. Although it doesn't work great on PET since everything's a single hit there. Let's go ahead and look it up. Super. Let's do Vulcan. Oh, we saw it. Alright. Here's Super Vulcan. So here's the picture. You can click on it and see it at pretty much the same size. Some of them are a little bit larger. Alright, so let's go ahead and copy this. Okay, we can't copy it here, so let's copy this one. Right click and say copy image. Alright, you go to our template page, and since it's a mega chip, we're going to use a blue chip. So we can use this SP one. The only problem with SP is it means you'll have to change the name if you wanted to get fancy. If you don't want to get fancy, I didn't actually use any non-SP mega chips. That's awkward. Anyway, the easiest way to do it is just to go ahead and paste it in. Again, if you're using Photoshop, this will be a little bit different. Just move it to the center. Next thing you want to do is rotate it. And here's the rotate box. We're going to rotate it negative 90 degrees. Then click rotate. And it should be perfectly lined up for the chip. So now all we got to do is scale it. And you can apply this if you're doing the programming, like you already finished the programming. Let's just say you already did part 2 because you watched the first video. If you already programmed this battleship for Super Vulcan, even if you're using a standard chip, this will still work. Since we have this little blue thing right here, that will show that it's a mega chip. So even if you use a standard chip for your whatever you're reprogramming, you can still put this mega chip sticker on there. The type of chip it is doesn't matter. And in the future, I will try to have a giga chip, but I don't have any giga chips for the Progress PET just yet, so I can't do that. Alright, so now, as you see, if you look at the two chips next to each other, this is a real chip, this is a fake one. This is pretty obviously fake, so what we're going to do is we're going to make this look a little bit bad, so it looks just like the other chips when they're actually printed, so it looks more original. You can leave it like this if you want, that's perfectly fine, but I prefer to make my chips look a little bit more authentic. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this a new layer. You see this button right here, click that, so we can edit this alone, it won't mess up anything else. Alright, now let's go to, where are we going? Filter, noise, where is it? Noise, and then RGB noise. And then from here, if I can only remember what settings I use, I believe it's like 0.12. Let's try that. 1, 2. 1, 2, and 1, 2. And let's see how that preview looks. See, now it looks a little bit more grainy, but I think that's still a little bit too grainy. It looks a little bit more messy than this. So let's just do 0.08, and then turn this one to 0.08, and this one to 0.08. Alright, and see, now it looks a lot more like these other battle chips. Again, it's still a little bit more grainy, but I prefer having it look a little bit too grainy than a little bit too neat. As you see, when you're actually looking at the battle chip from farther away, it still looks fine. So the main thing you want is on closer inspection to make it look a little bit more so it matches the background. See how that's grainy? How that way it matches. The second thing you'll want to do is probably blend the colors. Since these battle chips are printed, I don't know exactly how they print them, but the ink's a little bit different. You can go ahead. This is another optional step. Brightness and contrast, and you can just turn it down or turn it up a little bit, however you want to match it. See, this print, it prints a little bit brighter. Sorry, I print darker in real life, so you may want to make it brighter. You mess with the contrast a little bit. You just want to get it as good a balance to make this colors match that. You don't have to use the exact numbers, just do whatever you want, or you can just leave it alone if you want. But I prefer making it match a little bit more if possible. You don't want to go too far because that would just look funky. Alright. Once you have this done, you can either leave it on its own separate layer if you know what you're doing, or I would just say go ahead and merge it down. There's similar steps for, what's it called, for Photoshop. As you see right here, I have this teeny tiny bit of overlay where you can see the other battleship underneath it. You can just scale that if you want, or you can just leave it alone since no one's going to tell. But I know, I'll know. Everyone watching this video, if they come up to me on the street and see this battleship, they'll be like, hey, that looks fake. I know that because, anyway. Alright, there we go. So the next part is you could try to take the individual katakana from around here and try to, Frankenstein, like copy the saw from here and put it here. Or is that say? Yeah, say. Yeah, you could try to copy them in and change the colors, but I'm just going to leave it like this for now. Because I don't know what font this is, so if you really wanted to, you could track down this font and then make this actually say what the battleship's name is, but I personally don't really care. If you wanted to, you could just type Super Vulcan across there, just using this text, and just take this out. But again, it doesn't matter that much to me. All that matters is the picture and the programming. And for this, we're just doing the picture. So for this, we're technically done. All you have to do is print out this part and print out the back of the chip, and you also want one blue spine. As you can see here, I have an SP. So what we want to do is we want to have a separate layer called cover. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm just calling it cover. And in it, what you want to do is fill it in with white. So you click here to switch it to white, or if you pick a different color here, you can just double click, change it to white, and then you're good. You want to make sure you have cover selected, fill the entire thing with white. Then press this I to hide it. Next thing you want to do is select all the stuff you want to print. So let's say, okay, we want the back for the Mega chip. Alright, so what you gotta do, make sure this window is selected, highlighted. Then we hold down Shift, you should see this little plus symbol appear on your cursor. Then just highlight what you want, and then let go. Alright, now find the next thing I want to print. I want to print the Super Vulcan. So hold Shift again before you click anything, turns back to a plus. Highlight everything you want. And then if you mess up, just let go a little bit early, and you can adjust it afterwards. And you don't hold Shift right now. Ta-da! Now that's highlighted and that's highlighted. Now we also want to make a chip spine too. So let's go ahead and highlight this. I'll probably fix these spines and make them a little bit wider, which is what you'll see when you probably download this file or in version 1.5 or whatever. But for now, I'm just going to use this skinnier version. Alright, and there we go. We have everything we want highlighted. Now go back to cover, just click on it, and press delete. Now when you show it again, it will only show up what you want to print. So this way, you can actually print what you want and not have used up a whole bunch of ink. So now for printing, go to File, Page Setup first, and make sure you are set to page type letter and portrait mode. Press OK, and then go to File, Print. As you see over here, I only have print to Kindle because I don't actually have any printers hooked up to this computer. But just for reference or whatever, go to Image Settings, and then you'll see a preview of your thing. That's good. So now what you want to do is you want to click ignore page margins and just keep pressing the up button on width until you get 8.5 by 11. That's the page size we want to print to. That standard letter paper. That means it will print everything exactly to scale. So alright, when you do that, just go ahead and click print, and then it prints. Now it's saying it's sending to my Kindle because that's what I have it set up to. I don't have any printers, like I said before. And then you're done. Alright, so now the hard part, which is the second thing we're going to cover in here, is how to make your own Navi chips. That's something I don't think I covered in the last one. If you're looking at this or the advanced PET, in the latest versions, there should be a sample chip. This one I worked a little bit harder on, but the other one should be usable as well. As you can see here, I have two Navi chips. They're both technically Searchman, but this one I actually digitally removed Searchman and left everything else intact. This is a good template for if you want to make your own Navi. For example, I want to make a Shadowman chip, so I can use Shadowman Double Soul. I already have a chip. I want to make a label for it. Alright, so what's the first thing you need to do? The first thing you need to do is actually find an image for the actual character. Oh, sorry. The first thing you want to do is actually theme it for your character. That's a lot easier, so you can go on from there. So as you can see here, we have a green stripe around it and the Searchman symbol. Well, we don't want Searchman. We want Shadowman. What Shadowman's color is? It's purple and black. So the first thing you want to do is be very careful and select all the green stuff you see. Just like before, we're going to hold Shift and add another part. And again, if you mess up or miss something, you can always go back, and once you see that yellow bar, just pull up. Alright, and let's get this last part. Alright, and for the last bit, we're going to use this lasso tool since it lets us get at weird angles and stuff. So go ahead and click here. Go like this. We're going to get a Navi symbol too, just to make it easier. So we could use the circle tool, I just remembered. Be careful not to get the little holographic outside part. Oops. If you mess up and select something else, just hit Control Z and you'll go back. Alright, now that we have all the green stuff highlighted, there's a little bit here, but we're not going to worry about that. Go to Color and then Colorize. Make sure you're on the right layer. Excuse me. Alright, so once we're on the right layer, go to Color and then Colorize. And the first color, it will make everything blue. Chances are you probably don't want to make everything blue. I mean, sure, if you have Aquaman or whatever. Not Aquaman, what? Whatever. If you have somebody who wants blue, that's fine. But you want to get a color for your Navi. So we want to get purple for Shadow Man. Just try to find as close to purple as we can. There we go, that's purple, but that's way too much. So you can go to saturation and change the actual purpleness level. I'd say that looks pretty good. You see we missed a little bit of green there, but no one's probably going to notice that. So if you want it, you can go back and select that too. As a matter of fact, I'll show you how. Press cancel to cancel that box and do the add to selection. Make sure it's selected. Hold shift and just make sure you get everything you want. There we go. Now we got just about all of it. Go back to colorize. And this time, do exactly what you did before. Go to purple, or whatever color you need. I don't know why I found the need to say that. You can change how purple it is, and then the degree of purpleness. I'd say that's probably pretty good for Shadow Man. So press OK. The next thing we're going to do is get Shadow Man's symbol. So easy thing to do is just Google search Shadow Man Navi symbol. You can do this with Roll or Gutsman or whatever, and you'll probably find quite a few results for your Navi. Alright, so here's a really cool one. There's also one here, blah, blah. So we're just going to go ahead. If you can't find it for some reason, you can always check the Megaman wiki. For the Navi, shadowman.exe. Am I even going to bother to find that? There's Megaman, so I'll show you this real quick. Okay, so I believe it was supposed to show you the Navi symbol somewhere on this page, but I guess not. Anyway, I'm making this way too long. There we go. As you can see, there's this Navi symbol. It's on the page, but I just say go ahead and grab one here. Alright, so let's go ahead and copy whichever one you find. Go to the page, copy it, come here, and you just want to put that in the second circle. So, edit, paste. As you can see, that's pretty big, so you're going to need to scale it down quite a bit. If you have trouble scaling, make sure you can click this button to link the chain, and that means it will scale to scale, I guess. It will scale with the right perspective. Not perspective, I forget what a word is. But it will scale to the right, it'll make the width and height, equal. Alright, so you can measure it against this one if you want. Like, you can just move it over here and just measure it. That's what I find easier. So go ahead and click scale. And next thing you want to do is just, you can move it back over. Now it's scaled down. Scale. Alright, and now we're going to make it its own layer, just so we can check. If there's any extra bits, you can just easily select them and press delete. Or you can lasso them and press delete. Lasso, you select what you want to get rid of. Let's say we want to get rid of that. Let's just say we want to take off a chunk of it. Delete. That's just an example. Alright, so to make sure it's perfectly lined up, we would click over here. This is our new layer. And we slowly bring down the transparency until we can see through it. And as you can see, it's still off a little bit. So what we're going to do is, first thing, right click here and say layer to image size. That'll mean we'll have the entire page to work with. Sorry if I'm going a little bit fast. Hopefully you guys already know how to use Photoshop or whatever. But if not, this may be a little bit complicated for you. Sorry. Doing the best I can. Alright, and I think that's as good as we're going to get it. It seems to encompass a smaller circle. Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Alright, see what I'm saying, guys? Let's try to see how there's 3 circles. There's an outer ring, then there's the ring for the Navi symbol, and then there's the actual symbol itself. What I'm trying to say is, you want to have your Navi symbol fit into the second ring, aka the second largest one. Alright, so now we have that in there. If we wanted to match the Searchman symbol, we could also color this purple. As you see, it's green down there and green out there. So I don't know how I feel about that. You guys can decide for yourself. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I mean, it will probably look weird, but there are different ways to select it. You can select it manually. I'm just going to use the magic wand tool to select everything, or I can use the color selection tool. Remember, this is still on its own separate layer, so we're not messing up anything else. Alright, once you have all that one color selected for the outer thing, we can go to color, colorize, make it purple. Ooh, I kind of like that. Okay. Alright, that works for me. I can dig it. Make it a little bit darker, though. But kind of grayish. Alright, there we go. Alright, that's step 2 done. Alright, so step 3 would be... Ooh, I should have blacked this out so you can put whatever name you want in there. I'll just leave it like that. Alright, so the next step would be to actually fill this in with black. So when this is completely done, you'll want to merge it down, but we're going to try to neaten that up a little bit. So let's go click here, click here, click here, click here. Highlight all the purple stuff. Because remember, this is a separate layer, so we're not messing up anything underneath. Alright, and then we're going to select grow. This is just to help you blend them together better. Grow by 1. So see how we have purple and yellow selected? Then do file, blur, blur. And there we go. Now it makes it look a little bit neater. It looks bad, it's super close up, but this is like 500x magnification. So as you can see, it looks a lot neater overall. Alright, so once you're completely done with that, you can go ahead and merge it down. So, but before you merge it down, make sure it's above the thing you want to keep. Oh, sorry, above the actual template. Then click merge down. Alright, and then that part's done. So for this part, you can just cover this up. I'll probably pre-cover this up for you guys, but in case I don't, copy and paste this part, this black thing right here in front of it. You can just keep copy and pasting, or you can use the clone stamp tool if you want to be cool. I'll probably do this for you guys because it's a pain in the butt. And yes, it does look a little bit weird right now, but we're going to blur it at the end so it will look just fine. Yeah, a little bit behind the scenes. Copy. Let's just flip it. Because why not? Alright. We're going to hit this with a little bit of blur. Alright, so basically if you don't want to put your Navi's name in, like you don't feel like a researcher or whatever, feel free to just go over here, copy this search man part, and put it over here. That'll be, you'd be done. This looks kind of ugly. I'll do it better afterwards so you guys, your final version will look a little bit different. Stay tuned for updates. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, since I already, you can just take a picture of your Navi chip if you want. Like if you have like this is Blue's SP, you can just copy this and paste it on there and just take out the colors in the background. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing except with this old Shadow Man chip. So over here, it says Shadow Man. So I'm just going to simply copy this. This is exactly what you do if you have like an SP version of your Navi, like right here. Just copy everything about SP, and bring it on down to where our Navi chip is. And highlight it. And paste. Rotate negative 90 degrees. Rotate. And ta-da! We're pretty much done. Oops. Alright. Now we want to scale this down a little bit because it's a little bit too long without it running off. Break the chain if you want to free scale it without having to worry about perspective or anything. Not perspective, I keep saying that. Alright, and make it its own layer because remember we're going to be doing some messing up with it. And we just click all the stuff that's the background color. And using this thing will let you select everything the same color, so just go ahead and use that. And just keep holding down shift when you click on stuff, and that'll keep adding more and more stuff to your selection. And just go ahead and press delete when you're done, and there you go. You now have your background. Sorry, you have your Navi's name written in there. And if you're not copying this from an actual, like, you know, last generation Navi chip, chances are it won't be holographic. I'm not really sure an easy way to fix that. I just say make it white. That'll probably be easy enough as it is. Maybe later on I'll come up with a fix for that, like in the second part of this video, but for now, that'll do. Far away, you won't even be able to really tell. Alright, so the last part is actually getting your Navi's picture in here. That is actually probably the easiest part. So all you gotta do is look up a Navi chip from the game, because those already have Navi portraits, or you can just take a picture offline. But I say taking a Navi chip picture will be easier. So let's just look up Shadow Man. So here's Shadow Man, and here's his SP and DS forms. We're going to use the SP form because this looks really cool. I mean, just look at that. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. Copy image. And come over here. Oh, don't forget, when you're done with a layer and you're ready to commit it, move it in front of your template and just click merge down. Right click and then do merge down. Okay, so last part, highlight where you want it to go, paste it, and as you see, we're going to have to do some scaling. And this is another good reason I'll show you in a second is why we're working with multiple layers. Alright, so click this, the scale button, and then stretch it out so it reaches, I believe it's all four corners. Take a look. Yep, all four corners. Well, there's no corner down there because it's a circle in the way, but you can imagine how far it would go. Alright, scaled. And now what may help is, again, making a step on layer first. Hide this for a second, and then what you want to do is select your circle that we just made a different color. For me, it's purple. For you, it may be blue, red, orange, green. I don't know. Select enough that it's around that. You see, okay, you see this dotted line here? That's where your picture is. So you just want to select around the circle that far. You don't have to go all the way around the circle. But as you can see here, I have that part of the circle selected. Turn this back on, and then when you press delete, after you let go of your thing, so it's actually a shape now. Because remember, if you're using the lasso tool, you have to actually finish your lasso before it actually takes effect. Now it's taking effect, and we just press delete, and there we go. Perfectly cut out. But again, doesn't look perfect. I mean, look at these. One of these things is not like the other. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead and mess this up a little. Oops. Oh, I forgot to rotate it. That's one other thing I forgot to do. So before you actually start cutting things off, you probably want to take this. Let's just make it full image size. So, you know, right click here and say layered image size means we have the entire page to work with. Then we're going to, okay. That probably wasn't, I probably could have waited before I did that. Anyway, so just go ahead and select this. Okay, it's all selected. We missed a little bit. And we missed a bit up there. Alright, once it's all selected, we're going to rotate it -90 degrees. Ta-da! And now it's the same orientation as Searchman up there. Let's go ahead and scale this. Make sure it covers up all the old holographic stuff and doesn't go too far or too high up. If you have a problem remembering how high up it goes, just go ahead and look at Searchman. You can scroll over with the bottom bar. If you scroll down, if you scale down too much, it's okay. So feel free to scale down a little bit too much, because then you can see it once you're done. Scale. As you see, we scaled too much down here. So now we can see how much we're covering up. And let's just take it down a little bit more. Alright, so that is good enough. Now what the next part is like I said, we're going to have to mess it up a little bit. So first we want to anchor this down so your changes will take effect. It is on our pasted layer. And now we're going to go back to the, we missed a spot up there. Let's go ahead and scale this up a little bit. We'll do it in a second. Okay, so filter, just like before. Noise, RGB noise. And we still on 0.8, 0.8, 0.8, 0.8. So let's just go ahead and press OK. And there we go. Now it looks a little bit grainy. A little too grainy. But that won't matter, as you'll see in a second. Because the next thing we have to do is we have to actually blend it in. So I'm going to go ahead and rescale this just because it'll be easier that way. If you ever wanted to select whatever is on your layer, you just click anywhere around it and that'll select everything but your image. Then you can just do select invert, just in case you guys are wondering. So we're going to scale it over a little bit because we don't want any gaps. And let's just scale it down just for old time's sake. Alright, anchor that down. Alright, so now we have our image. I know I'm making this super confusing, guys, but I'm sure at least one of you can follow along. This Navi chip part's still kind of green. But we're not going to worry about that just yet. For now, we are going to start making this transparent. As you can see here, you can see the background through the actual image. So we're going to test some transparency methods. As you can see, normal transparency method, you have to get it really far in order to be able to see the background through it. So I believe there's another one. Which one did I use before in when I was making my Navi chips? I believe it's not darken only. Hard light's a good one. The only problem with hard light is it makes the actual picture a lot darker. So, what is it? Nah, it's not it. Bad time for me trying to remember this, but sorry about that. Darken only is usable, but for now I'm just going to say we can just use normal. Drop the transparency a little bit, and change the background color. Because as you can see here, the background color is black. So let's go ahead and we can leave that in. If you wanted to, you could change the background color to be a different color using the colorize, but I kind of like that. Looks pretty cool. Again, all the other people have lighter backgrounds, but if you look at this chip, he has a black background there, and yeah, it does stand out, but that's kind of his thing. So alright, we'll keep it like this for now. So now we technically are almost done. What's another thing we gotta do is, you know, of course, trim off this little edge piece. Hide this layer. Trace around our circle. Bring it back. And complete the circle. And there you go. Alright, and we could change the tone of this to make the rest of it a little bit more purple. But then we mess up the yellowness in here, so we're not going to just do that just yet. Alright, so this video is not an hour long. We're going to leave that alone. And we're going to work on the back. So the back, pretty easy. Just a Navi symbol again. So where did we have our Navi symbol? Here we go. Copy image. We can anchor that layer down if we want. Let's just go ahead and click anchor down before we forget, since that's done. So go back to the back of the Navi chip. Highlight what you want to overwrite, or highlight where you want it to go. Then we gotta scale it down, just like before. You may want to use the chain link here and click reset if you mess up. And to make sure you have it the right size, you can just put it over another symbol and scale it until you get it just about right. A little bit smaller, doesn't hurt. Scale. Alright, now we're going to move it over here. Scale. And I believe we have to rotate it negative 90 degrees. Or is it positive 90 degrees? I think it's positive 90 for this side, so let's go ahead and do that. Rotate 90. Rotation successful. We clicked OK. Make this its own layer. Then we're going to cut off these little black bits on the side. And by cut off, you know, I mean select it with the color, then pressing delete. Alright, now we're going to scale it down a little bit smaller just so we can make sure. Just Control A highlights everything in this selection. Scale it down. Put it in the center. Then scale it up. I think that'll do it. Alright, so if we wanted to, we can make this part purple again. I think I will. Go ahead and anchor that down. And color selection. This. Hold shift to keep selecting more stuff on your layer. You can remember a separate layer. And color. Colorize, same thing. Or you can leave it gray if you want, but I'm just gonna try to finish the look. Alright. I think the other one's actually darker. Yep. Filter. Oh, sorry, colors, colorize. I don't remember what. So you can use, if you want to, you can make a preset up here, and then you can just remember your setup for forever, basically. But I'm not going to do that. All right, so that looks good. All right, so the very, very last thing, we're done with the back now, since that's all you had to do. It says rockman.exe for everyone, and it says Navi chip down there, so that's good. We can change these little bars if we want. Go ahead and bring this down and merge down and highlight this, highlight this, colors, colorize, and then we just make them purple. If you want, you can just zoom out and scroll up and see how purple you made your other ones. I think it's a little bit lighter. Alright, so that is done. Now what we have to do is the spine. As you can see up here, we have the spine. I'm just going to copy this part and bring it over here so it's completely blank. Oops, I copied too far. See, you don't want to, when you're copying a section, you only want to have one color copied. I don't want to have that green strip in there because that means I'll keep having green strips every single copy length over. So as you can see there, makes it look almost seamless. As you can see, there's just a little bit of black and color mismatch as opposed to having a green line every so often. Alright, so let's just go ahead and blur this. That looks pretty bad. Filter, blur, blur. And it looks better. Again, won't look perfect, but that's fine. And if we wanted to, we could fill it in with the other side because there's a glare on there. I'll have a lot of this stuff fixed by the time you guys actually download this, or very soon. But for now, I'm working with the original copy. Alright, so now that that is done, I can go ahead and just copy my Navi's name again from up here. Copy. And bring it on down. And hey, look, there's two stripes on here, so I'm going to color these. And remember, shift click. Color. Colorize. I should have saved it, but I didn't think I'd ever need it again. Purple. Good enough. I'm not going to even bother. No one's going to be looking at that side. Alright, and oops, I clicked it again. Selection, just select here, and we'll go ahead and paste it in. Try to line it up with all the other ones. And we're going to make its own layer so we can mess with it. Select by color. Just keep holding shift and clicking until we have pretty much all the outside colors selected. And then just press delete, and there we go. You can clean it up a little bit. I know you guys are probably better at photo editing than I am, but that's just how you basically get it and get the background out. That's good enough to, oh, that's not really good enough to print. Let's just clean up a little bit more. Select by color. Okay, that will look a lot better zoomed out. See? There you go. That's what you'll normally see. Alright, and now once we put the cover back on, let's bring this down and merge it in so we'll have everything. Put the cover back on, and we see we're not printing everything. So what we need to do is go back to selection and select the new Navi chip back. This looks kind of weird if all that green and purple. It does not go well together in my opinion. And highlight this. Remember, hold shift before you start highlighting something or else you'll lose your old part of the selection. And then also up here, remember, you can always go back and touch up your selection a little bit. And there we go. Go back to the cover. You can even make it visible if you want. And just press delete. And there we go. We now have our Shadow Man label all ready to be printed out. The printout method is the exact same. You go to File, Print, and then you say ignore page margins and all that nonsense. So over here, 8.5 by 11. That's what it's set up for. And then you'd actually be done. All you have to do is remember this. You're not actually sticking this green stuff on there. You're just only sticking. You're printing out the label. So this goes on the back. This goes on the spine, and this goes on the top. So alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Then I can guarantee you, I don't even know nobody's watching the end, I can guarantee this. But if you're watching the end and say like, hey, I made it to the end, lol, I guess, in the comments, or whatever. But yeah, next week's, tomorrow's Mega Man Week video will not be this long. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later, bye. I'll see you guys later, bye. What am I talking? I feel like I'm on the phone. I'm really tired, guys. Anyway, see you later.